Hey everybody, welcome back to Around the Emirates podcast with Sara Mousa, where I speak to guests from across the UAE about topics you want to hear about. Today I'm joined by the incredible Jonathan Church. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, yeah, Sarah.
So Jonathan is director of the production Singing in the Rain that's happening right now in the UAE. So cool. Love this musical. Please, Jonathan, tell me your story and what got you started.
Oh, well, I mean, I've been working on musicals for a long time. I grew up with a theatre family, and so I was taken to the theatre at an improbably young age, and musicals were part of that. But the first real opportunity I got to direct a musical was Singing in the Rain, and it was a wonderful accident. I was running a theatre in England called Chichester Festival Theatre, and the big event every summer was the musical. And we'd had an amazing piece of work done the previous year by the choreographer Andrew Wright. He'd choreographed 42nd Street, and it was just simply the best dance work I'd seen on a period musical. And so we rang him up and said, "What do you want to do next year?" And he said, "Singing in the Rain." And the rights happened to be available. All the cast we asked to do it said yes, and we ended up transferring from Chichester to the West End for 18 months, to Australia, to Russia, and now finally in Dubai. So it was one of those happy accidents, really, that a piece of work inspired Singing in the Rain. And it's been in my life for 13, 14 years now.
That's amazing. So obviously you had a very colorful journey in the kind of musical industry. You've obviously been part of so many productions. What do you feel has kind of been your biggest challenge and how do you feel you've overcome it?
I think the biggest challenges are always to do with getting in our world a project to actually happen. And it takes there are so many moving parts, the rights, the actors, the theatre, and I mean it's probably oversimplistic, but you'll know this from your line of work. It's ultimately about passion and persistence, and that if you're passionate and persistent enough, eventually you will find a way to make something happen. So I think that's the biggest challenge is making these big projects happen.
So because you've done so many projects, I'm sure that there's some kind of interesting or funny or surprising experience you've gone through.
Well, there's a few. They're generally to do with the less uh, marvelously delivered projects. So I'm trying to think of a musical one specifically. I won't tell you exactly who, but when I was running a theatre in Birmingham in the UK, a very famous band came and told us they wanted to do a reworking of Oliver. What somebody should have told me was it's a very bad idea to do a reworking of Oliver because there's a really brilliant musical called Oliver that's very hard to surpass. So we did a kind of modern reworking of Oliver that I can promise you really didn't work. The audience didn't like it. It probably shouldn't have ever existed. So that's probably one of my worst. Linked to Singing in the Rain, we did manage to because as you probably heard we rain, but we also flood the stage. In one theatre we were in, we got a bit carried away with the flood, and it didn't stay on the stage, and it spilled out into the theatre, into the auditorium. It took a long time to mop it up.
Oh my God.
You know, horrible.
Well, that definitely is a story that is unexpected and funny and surprising. Thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, what is kind of your favorite thing about working in musicals?
Oh, that's very easy. It's the collaborative nature of it, because we also work on plays. And as a director, the most wonderful thing on a musical is you have a choreographer and a musical supervisor. So it feels like the burden of making the work is properly shared. And to be honest, on a musical like Singing in the Rain or 42nd Street, which is choreographically led, the choreographer does the really hard graft. So I love the collaboration, and I also love the skill involved. The performers, and you'll see this in Singing in the Rain, their ability to dance for 2.5 hours, to sing, to act, to share their joy of their profession, their skills with the audience is breathtaking, and it's breathtaking to watch the final result. But um, going to work and watching people work with that kind of discipline and joy and skill is a proper treat.
Nice. And my final question to you today is, Jonathan, is what word of advice do you have for those who are trying to get into the musical industry?
Oh, again, it's persistence. Know your craft, study your thing. So, I think you really need to, whether it's plays, musicals, you need to know the history of the thing you're doing. I say you need to. I think it's wise, so you know, how the great American musicals were made, what what led to them being put together in the way they are, but also just seeing a lot of work so that you have a reference for when you make your own work. But in terms of getting your first steps on the ladder, it's always about just trying to make sure a local theatre, an artist you have a relationship with, or even when you don't, that you knock on their door and say, "Can I observe? Can I watch?" And I often think it's important in the UK that people make their own work. We're very lucky. We have, as well as the wonderful West End and all our regional theatres, we have a very vibrant fringe. So if you want, there are small venues in London where directors often put their first musicals on. I mean, everybody's doing it for pennies, but you practice, you hone your skill, and similarly, places like Edinburgh Festival, you can make work happen. So I go, it's all about practicing your craft, knocking on doors, not taking no for an answer, and believing you'll get there one day.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for sharing those beautiful kind of words of wisdom with me, Jonathan. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning a bit more about the behind the scenes on how musicals are created. And can't wait to watch Singing in the Rain.
Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, Jonathan. Take care.
Bless you.